I tell you that was a beat in and of itself, Woj knows what I'm talking about with that. Everybody knows what I'm talking about there. It was a different level, okay? But when you look at Ja Morant, the one thing that I find incredibly alarming, there was so much stuff that Allen Iverson took hits for that had nothing to do with him, but everything to do with the company he kept. And because from the streets, very loyal.
Morning Instagram live session from a Denver area strip club. After Memphis was eliminated from the playoffs, Morant said off-the-court distractions hurt the team, and he has to, quote, be better with my decision-making, unquote. This latest video was posted yesterday. The last time Morant was shown in a video with a gun, he ended up being away from the game for about 2.5 weeks. In between, he entered a counseling program and met with Commissioner Adam Silver. Ultimately, he was handed an 8-game suspension. There has been no comment on the latest video from the NBA or from the Memphis Grizzlies.
Well, I want to first say that I want to preface my comments by saying that I'm really proud of the statement that Ja Morant put out. It was necessary. It was apropos. No, know the answer to that, bro. It's not worth it. You're a superstar basketball player. You represent your organization. You represent your family. You represent your city. You've got to be mindful of all of that. It's never off. And so many times we don't tell these players this. NBA has off-duty police officers. They've got connections with the FBI. They've got connections with everybody. The NBA knows what you're doing. They know who you're doing it with. They know where you are. They know how you're conducting yourself at all times. Don't think they're not watching. They're always watching. And when I get upset is that all of us, jailers from the streets of New York, Detroit, I'm from the streets of the hits. In this particular instance, that's Ja on film. That's Ja that you see on the TMZ video. He had no choice but to own that, to be honest with you. And so I applaud him for embracing that. But when you bring into account the other incidences, let me look in the camera and say what I'm about to say to Ja Morant. You are a superstar. You're 23 years old. You got a deal that kicks in next year that could exceed $231 million over the next 5 years. And on this show, on national television, there's you associated with police. Think about that for a second. And then ask this kind of stuff. We know the kind of things that people fight just to protect the few dollars they have. What do you think an organization is going to do to protect their multi-billion-dollar investment? They will spare no expense. They will do whatever they can. So I want him to be mindful of that, be aware of that, understand that you're in a different stratosphere. You got to conduct yourself properly. I'm going to say it to his boys as well. I had the pleasure of meeting them in Dallas this summer. I think good dudes, hearts in the right place. They mean them no harm. But you got to step up and be protective of yourself and be protective of him by the way you conduct yourself. That laser that was allegedly pointing at the Indiana Pacers, you can't have stuff like that coming. Lisa's dad to T. Morant. Nothing but love and respect for you, sir. You are his daddy, not his friend. His daddy. I'm not saying you can't be friends, but you're his father. And so when we see this kind of stuff going on, all of y'all get lumped in because it ain't just a 23-year-old Ja Morant that needs to protect himself. It's all of you who love him, who want to protect him, who wishes for the best for him. You have an obligation to look out for him too. Do it.
It's really well said. Michael Wilbon is from Chicago.
With this, don't equate this to something like, oh, the bad boy pisses. No, that was on the court, almost theater. This is real life. First of all, if you are brandishing a gun, that can get you killed. Do we need to get more serious than that? So whoever's around him, what is it? What is your plan? What are you doing? You can't turn on TV for a half an hour without seeing Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley and Steph Curry and LeBron James, the faces of the league over a 40-year period among them, not to even mention Michael Jordan. Do you know what's at stake? Do you know the tens, hundreds? Pretend to know Ja Morant well, but in my exposures to Ja, what's striking, even 2 and 3 years ago, his first year in the league, 3-4 years ago, is there's real intellect there when you talk to and listen to him. When you talk to him, you have a conversation, he's not looking at his phone and glancing around the room. He's engaged. He listens. There's thought there. And so when I hear this, when you see these stories, and we started hearing about this in the Washington Post a while ago, and then what happened overnight, you're thinking, okay, what in the world is the plan here? Whether it's him, his boys, I don't know, his associates, the people close to him with the team. What's your plan? Is this your plan? You think this is going to accomplish something? You've got it available to you if you are the face of the league in good standing. Do you not see that? Do the people around you not see that? And so I'm angry, Greeny, because I also think about this embrace of thug life and how it disproportionately affects our communities. Yes. Whether it's Queens, Detroit, South Side of Chicago, it disproportionately affects black communities. And maybe Adam Silver's going to have to talk to some other people in and around his office. This is serious. This can't be a light touch because you're up today. Because our dear friend, one of the many reasons I love Jalen would have nothing to do with basketball, is that Jalen Rose has dedicated his personal life to secondary education in formal and informal ways, dedicated his personal wealth and resources. People don't know this about Jalen. We know it. Jalen has dedicated himself in Detroit and his academy to eradicating this kind of garbage. It's garbage, Greeny, the embrace of this. And then not necessarily many John Cheneys and John Thompsons left to shout from the mountaintops, stop this garbage. I mean, Jalen does this every day of his life, has meetings and has issues and deals with teachers and principals and students and faculty and all these things. I don't even know how he does it. But this angers me. And the Memphis Grizzlies and the league starting above them, they better get a hold of this yesterday. This cannot go on.
I was trying to figure out how to be famous, how to be successful, and how to change the dynamics of my family. The one thing that young people have to understand, and in Ja Morant's case, when you first get drafted, you go from being a member of the family, a member of the crew, to being the leader, to being the breadwinner. And first and foremost, I hear a lot of people talking about like his family and his crew. When you the leader, it's on you, because you end up searching that lifestyle. You end up wanting to be down.
Here's like, what are the Grizzlies doing? What are they doing?
Wow. This is personal for me. I am Ja Morant. Like, you guys have got a chance to see me grow up for public consumption since 1991. And I've been involved in drug raids. I've survived assassination attempts. I've been that undisciplined.
Sure that Ja Morant, his family.
To add, subtract, multiply, or divide, you have to choose wisely. He has way too much to lose. Trust me, I've been that young player carrying a gun. And Wilbon alluded to this. When you start waving it, that could get you killed. That's an entirely different thing than we're talking about. A superstar athlete should be putting themselves in position. And as Stephen A. mentioned, that's him on the video, on his IG Live. Ain't nobody coaxing him. Ain't nobody got. And I don't know what type of pain that he deals with and type of anxiety that he has, or what types of substances that he may be using. And I'm glad in his statement that he owned that I need to make changes for me. Because as the leader, as the breadwinner, you control the environment. The people that are around you, you select. And a lot of times, unfortunately, and Wilbon alluded to this also, when we start to get fame, when we start to get money, then we try to feel like we keeping it real. Like we trying to be down now. We trying to be tough now. We trying to be hard now. But you made it. And once you make it, your job is to uplift, to enlighten. And I'm glad this actually happened. Stories about pistols, okay? allegedly with the 17-year-old kid, allegedly with the Indiana Pacers staff. Last night on IG Live, I saw the video like you guys did, brandishing the gun. The next step to that is now recovery. And I believe that he's on that path. I'm happy that he's on that path. He's going to return, and he's going to be a better person. And because of all of this taking place, he's now going to be able to live his full potential.
It's beautifully said. All right, we will pause on that thought. We will turn our attention to basketball again. We have a big game tonight, but this was important, and I'm glad that we were able to getting set to go. Sixers and Bucks, two of the best teams in the East, getting set to square off.